I'm actually really funny, but I just don't feel like it right now. If you've already played any of these, I don't care. Go to your room. At the end of each segment, I'm going to show you where to get the game over here. If it's on GOG, you can grab it on a sale, and I also get a little cut of that. Smiles at camera.
Hi, Future Noodle here. That did not work out, actually. We couldn't get the games to go on sale. Everything just kind of fell through. So you can still support me if you buy the games on GOG, but sorry.
One other thing, these are recommendations, not reviews. I'm going to be glossing over a lot of stuff for the sake of brevity. None of these games are perfect, but I like them all very much. Remember the last time I did one of these and I recommended Hypnospace Outlaw? Do you remember Zane Rocks 14 from Teentopia? Today in 2023, Zane is 38 now, and he made a video game. It was supposed to come out around 2001, but then he lost it. 20 years later, though, he found the source code on a CD, finished the game, mailed it to Xbox, and released it on Steam. Set in the bustling metropolis of Boise, Idaho, Slayer's X, Terminal Aftermath, Vengance of the Slayer follows Zane as he wages war on the Psychos, seeking a vengeance for his fallen mentor, who is also the lead singer of his favorite band, Seepage.
Home sweet home. Or it used to be. Rip Mom.
Also his mom. The presentation is on point. Honestly, I'm just so proud of Zane for pulling this off. He managed to get his favorite band, Seepage, both to star in the game and to write music for it.
You are the final X-Slayer. You are the only one strong enough to defeat the Psychos. Now go to the Boise Potato Festival.
For those who don't know, Seepage is like Chopin if they were awesome. The most surprising thing about the project for me is that even amidst a sea of indie boomer shooters all competing for attention, Slayer's X manages to stand out, and not just because it's got awesome fucking graphics and cool music and it's made by Zane, but because of how well it plays. It's like D&D in that way. Enemies are varied and provide an interesting challenge, from clowns that unleash timed explosive to floating brain jesters to needle-headed freakazoids who speak only in corn vocals.
I've been saying this.
The guns are all unique and satisfying, like the double pistols, which Zane flips sideways at random, the glass blasta, a shotgun which only fires debris left from destructible objects, or the X100 Rapid Mutilator, a chain saw that is also a chain gun. Basically, the game plays like Frogger, if it was awesome. And for a game developed in 1999, the levels are all very detailed, with environmental poop gags and rat-adjacent secrets littered throughout, giving us a deeper look into Zane's twisted mind, which is fascinating if you take the time to stare into the abyss. During the early days of PC gaming, it was common for modders to dip their toes into game design by recreating real-world locations inside Doom. You know, the whole myhouse.wad thing. Vengance of the Slayer is essentially an entire game of this, a lovingly crafted and meticulously recreated series of memories from Zane's own childhood. He shows you the local festival, the corner stores, the neighborhoods, his house, his room.
Why did I just break that? What am I doing?
These levels, and by extension the game as a whole, serve as a deceptively authentic, earnest, and heartfelt character study, one that gets more rewarding the more you explore. It's like Gone Home if it was awesome. This is a boomer shooter, so you're going to be spending a lot of time wandering around looking for keys, possibly getting lost. But even if you're like me and you hate that kind of shit, I'd still highly recommend giving this a go. Full disclosure, Zane sent me a copy for free. He told me I'm awesome. We're kind of best friends, so I'm a little biased on this, but I'd happily have paid full price, even if Zane and I didn't go way back. Resting on my dining room table is a button. When pressed, someone, somewhere, is killed. I have no idea who. We'll be right back. When you buy a laptop, you want it to be a good laptop. Otherwise, you end up with a bad laptop.
I do my best to smile, Max, but then the thing I bought no worky.
Grow up. Everything I have works great. Introducing the Asus ProArt StudioBook 16 OLED, powered by the 13th gen Intel Core i9-13980HX processor. It's a good laptop. Asus says this thing is made for creators. Guess what I am? Paid. Nobody asked me to do this, but I edited this whole video on their laptop and used the display for color grading. I am thoroughly impressed. The Asus Lumina OLED panel is gorgeous and super color accurate. The taller 16:10 ratio lets me view my favorite photos while I work, and the Asus dial thing over here comes in very handy very often. Check this out. Swouse. Included within the sacred system is Asus's own ProArt Creator Hub, a cool software that lets you quickly do a bunch of cool stuff like changing fan speed, calibrating color, monitoring performance, and more. If you be making, this could be a laptop for you. Perceive the link in the description to learn and consume the cool laptop and cool Intel processor. Asus. They are paying me. I gain nothing from pressing the button, and yet I am compelled. How do I know its function? Now back to Noodle Online. Picture Skyrim. Now imagine Skyrim, but smaller in every conceivable way, and without the bullshit.
Today is a sad day.
So true.
Okay, without most of the bullshit. The Forgotten City, a Skyrim mod turned standalone indie game written, directed, and produced by a lawyer, is a fascinating game for me because it really, really plays like Skyrim, if it were massively scaled down and had better writing. Basically, it's exactly what I want from video games. You play as modern Guy who gets sucked up into the ancient past, forced to live out a 12 loop, a Majora's Hog type beat, reliving the same day over and over within a curious Roman city. One of their gods, although nobody knows which, silently enforces the golden rule. If any one person anywhere in the city commits anything this mystery god considers sinful in their opinion, everyone dies unironically. As it turns out, inciting collective punishment is very easy.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
You want to stop that from happening, which can paradoxically involve making that happen.
You should kill yourself.
You spend most of your time running around, talking to the locals, and getting to know them. It's like D&D in that way. Each resident has their own backstory, thoughts, opinions, passions, friends, enemies, like Lucretia, the town medic who knows nothing about medicine, or Decius, who is scum. My favorite moments are when the game lets you use your knowledge of everyone you've met, as well as your time-looped insight, to do things like scamming a grifter out of his life savings, or debating with people over whether they should kill themselves. I argued that they should not do that. That was my opinion. Yeah, it's pretty goofy sometimes. It can't not be when you're playing as like a 2020 Zoomer talking to motherfuckers from like 3 BC. Developer Modern Storyteller rarely passes up the opportunity to play with historical insight, but it does so in some surprisingly mature and interesting ways. Less, these guys don't have iPhone. More, yeah, what are your thoughts on slave ownership? You can really feel the lawyer in the writer's room.
At 19, I left Corinth for Rome to study rhetoric at one of her finest academies, so I could argue more forcefully. Back then, I used to enjoy verbally sparring with everyone I could, and I was good.
This is a game where the multiple philosophical debates you find yourself in feel more like combat than the actual combat. Not that I mind, it's like podcasts, if they were awesome. Is this funny how often you find yourself responding to death threats with articulate philosophical counter-arguments? And how it pretty much always works. I will kill you now? Ad hominem. Fuck, you're right. Even a little guy like me who don't know a damn thing can appreciate the clear attention to detail on display throughout the game. Historically accurate architecture, murals, sculptures, and various other insights into ancient cultures are absolutely littered throughout the small but dense overworld. This team is punching way above their weight here. You know, it's easy to shit, moan, cum, and groan about how a bigger budget and more time might have helped the presentation, but it actually happens to have already taken the entire life savings of a lawyer and over 5 years to create. So, you know, just shut up and die and die and die. If you're interested at all in ancient history, complex stories with multiple twists and endings, pondering existentialism in the human condition, or Skyrim mods, this will be right up your alley.
That one level that I kept having issues with the vehicles because I'm really good at video games.
Yeah. Oh. It's over.
All right,
it's
well,
so
maybe we can...
What
What the fuck is happening? What the fuck was that? What?
It is with zero hyperbole or irony that I say that games like Peggle, Zuma, Plants vs. Zombies, and Bejeweled are some of the best games ever made. PopCat was on some different shit for a while there, man, I don't know. I would say that with such strong bass mechanics, it's pretty hard to fuck up, but PVZ2 showed us that, no, it's pretty easy, actually. Hell, Tetris has as many moon-brained iterations as it does correct ones, and the worst changes are almost always the ones that throw a wrench into the ass of an otherwise perfectly balanced core gameplay loop. This is why I'm so surprised to be as obsessed as I am with Peglin. Like, if you asked me how I'd try to make Peggle more fun, firstly, I'd say you can't, it's perfect. But I sure as hell wouldn't suggest turning it into a roguelite dungeon crawler of all things. You play the game like Peggle, but each hit contributes to damage dealt against enemies. How the fuck does this work so well?
Me too.
Like most good roguelites, part of what makes Peglin so special is how different each run plays out. It's like D&D in that way. As you crawl, you collect and refine new collection of rare and powerful orbs, all of which have their own unique properties, such as the Bob Orb, which converts pegs into bombs, the Protect Orb, which grants Bulwark 3, or the Bulb Orb, which is large. You also choose between relics, which can do anything from simple buffs to weird shit, like doubling all damage dealt, but also occasionally inflicting self-harm for balance. All of the orbs and relics you come across can stack, allowing for some incredible builds if you know what works well with what. One of my favorites was the Kaczynski deck, in which I equipped like 8 different relics that all made bombs way more powerful, plentiful, and magnetic. The game's not finished yet, but it gets better with every update, and it's already well worth the price. I would have said more about this one, but it's Peggle. You must already know about Peggle, lest I waste mine own breath on a wretched soul most foul. Begone! I like playing chess. I am not good at playing chess. Normally, when I play chess, I like to put on free-form jazz and declare how trivial my victory is to be before done getting put in a checkmate 2 moves later. This is my ideal chess experience. This is why I adore 5D chess with multiverse time travel. The 4th dimension is time, and the 5th dimension is the multiverse. It is nothing like D&D, moron. For me, this game is like a gift from the gaming gods, because even those who know how to play 5D chess with multiverse time travel don't fully understand how to actually play 5D chess with multiverse time travel. It's very common to win or lose by complete accident.
Well, I mean, clearly,
Luckily, when you understandably ask how in any god's name that could have happened, the game provides a useful visual explanation. Here's an example of the average play session. Friend Leon and I are engaged in a friendly game of simplified chess spanning 15 or so timelines. On one end of the boards, I'm pretty fucked. However, by sending several pieces back in time to before I got fucked, I was able to instead force him into a checkmate.
One thing about that, though. Just one thing.
No! No!
The game did not end, however, because it was only checkmate on a single timeline. Leon proceeded to send pieces from his future back into time before I had checkmated him, throwing us into a cycle where both of us began stalling for time in an attempt to perpetually force each other into a checkmate sooner in time than the other. Here's how that game ended. Another example, friend Pixel discovered a strategy in which, by creating new timelines, he could effectively multiply the amount of vulnerable kings I had to worry about exponentially.
I have 4 kings to worry about, dude.
Sounds like a you problem, bro. Fucking bureaucracy is a bitch.
Shut up.
He could only do it so many times, though, lest he abuse his time travel allowance. Here's how that went. Honestly, despite how fucked all of this it truly is, it's remarkable how balanced it also manages to be at the same time, especially if you take the time to really dig into it. But learning the rules can be intimidating for lesser minds. In order to cope with the numerous additional mechanics and potential pitfalls that multidimensional time travel chess introduces, I recommend employing my own original strategy, Moosum. What does Moosum stand for? You see, it's actually my own original strategy, Moosum. Moosum is, in my opinion, the most fun way to engage with 5D chess until you thoroughly understand it. Just play the game casually, try not to sweat over it, stall for time as soon as something happens you don't like, and then win by accident.
Oh.
Whatever. I don't even care.
Okay.
I don't even care.
Easy win. Easy win.
Run it back.
I think this is how most people play. There are terrifying moonmen who have taken the time to thoroughly understand and tame 5-dimensional chess, people who can effectively assassinate their opponent's king or kings in the past across 23 timelines and take steps to prevent their opponent from doing the same. But these people fucking suck. I recommend starting out with a friend on global warming, or a small board, or on princess mode. These all make it easier to wrap your head around the rules without necessarily having to deal with Terminator gambits or cross-dimensional double checkmates. If you told me a few weeks ago that the scariest and most immersive game you've played in months relies entirely on primitive mechanics, sparse soundscapes, and a command prompt, I'd tell you, I know, I already played Duskers. Have you tried D&D? It is a distant future, and everyone who is not you is dead. The goal is to use your goofed up drones and explore what remains of the abandoned spaceships littered throughout the galaxy and attempt to figure out what happened. The story has some interesting bits here and there, but the presentation is what makes this game noteworthy. You wouldn't think much of it on a quick glance.
I hear shit. There's definitely something in R2. We're out of here. We're leaving. Oh my god.
Did it? What happened?
You didn't hear that?
I heard this sound.
You think wrong. Please grow as a person. Each run begins with you, a ship in okay condition, 3 drones with some decent equipment, and a bit of fuel. You explore for as long as you can, salvaging ships and avoiding threats till you can't no more. You control everything with your keyboard, through simple commands and sometimes the arrow keys. I'm copying off of Mandy Mandalore Gaming's homework with this observation, but the idea is to make you feel like you're operating an alien computer. No, not like that. There you go. Like I said, atmosphere is what carries here. Duskers is a game about isolation. It's a game where your only friends are your Roombas. Everything else, from the alien life aboard every derelict vessel to the simple wear and tear of your drones, their tools, and even your ship, are all constantly working against you, and a single mistake could spell the end of a playthrough. Duskers is a horror game.
It's also a roguelike. No, dude, come on, come back.
Everything you use is broken down, fucked up, and sad. From the drones and their tools to your ship and its upgrades. And the tools needed to repair these things are constantly in short supply. A stealth cloak could start to fail as its power drains. Your ship's scanner could just go out, forcing you to rely on your drone's grainy sensors. Even the ships you visit are constantly at risk of falling apart. Sometimes you just can't stay on that millionaire mentality grind set. It's better to just cut your losses and live.
Death. Okay. No, thank you.
You know what they say, a cock in the hand is worth 2 in the mouth. What's smart about all this is that it forces you to pay very close attention to what's happening. The ship's interface is reliable to a point, and there are plenty of tools that the drones can use to assist in scoping a place out if you can salvage them. But this alone will never give you the full picture. For that, you need to be listening for signs of trouble, trying to spot their tells. Like I did in that funny clip I showed you earlier where I screamed in a funny manner. There are a number of ways you can use your quirked up cranium to avoid problems, but eventually you will have to take risks, or you will die. This is where the game shines brightest. Aside from Qbert, strategy is your best friend. Sometimes you can maybe attack Creaturezoids head on, but the smarter option is usually to take them out indirectly. Maybe you can power up a ship's turrets. Maybe you can trap enemies away from you. Maybe you can even bait them into an airlock. Just remember that everything which can hurt an enemy can hurt you, and you're dick-flatteningly valuable and ball-crushingly difficult to replace drones as well.
Oh my god.
Eventually, you will fuck up.
Fuck!
Duskers is at its best when shit has gone fuck, everything bad is real, and you're about to split your keyboard in half, hammering away commands in an attempt to save whatever you can. It is hard to get the dodge out of fuck once the going gets bad. But when I can manage, when the tension is finally released, and I walk away from what should have been a life-ruining event with only a few scrapes, it's one of the most rewarding feelings I've gotten from any game in recent memory. Full disclosure, I got this for free on Epic. If you also hoard games, check your library. You might have it already. Also, the game's kind of crushing out of the gate. You might want to dig around with the difficulty options. I do wish the game had more to offer in terms of late game content. It gets pretty stale after a while, but with all that said, dude, just trust me. Turn off the lights, grab a drink, have a drink, put on some drink, and you will experience top 10 most scariest video game where you enter commands into PowerShell, right next to installing Linux. That would have been funny if I had told a better joke. So yeah, if you play any of these, let me know what you think. And more importantly, leave a review on the game's storefront. That kind of thing helps them a ton. Q&A time. How exactly did you accidentally not pay tax? Well, you see, as a business operating in the US, you're supposed to do this thing called quarterly payments. I did not know that. What's your favorite movie of the year so far? I like Spider-Man.